I always laugh when it comes to these videos, friends, because I always tell myself I am a natural planner. I like to plan out everything. But then I go to film a video, I'm like, you know what? Forget the plan. We're gonna do this instead, because that's exactly what's happening with today's video. Hello friends, happy Wednesday. So excited that you're here. So excited that I'm having a little bit more of my normal energy. Still recovering from this virus. I felt like I had like a relapse where I was fine yesterday and then today, no. I woke up in the middle of the night thinking I couldn't breathe because I was so congested. I was like, goodness, what a hot mess. But on brighter things, I am continuing to share my top 5 debut manga from each publisher. And today I'm doing Yen Press. I was going to do 7 Seas, but I shared in my recent manga news video that I got a Shoujo win from Yen Press, and I was so excited. And just because I'm still on that excited hype train, I knew that I wanted to feature my favorite debuts from them. I really feel like they are one of the GOAT publishers. I struggle if like the GOAT is either 7 Seas or Yen Press, because I really feel like both of these publishers are consistently delivering shoujo manga to us fans, and I am so very grateful because unlike I think with Viz and Kodansha, where I did have at least one shonen pick, today is all shoujo, y'all. It is all shoujo. I don't know if I'm actually following any shonen manga, at least that's coming to mind that I can recall. I don't think I'm following any shonen manga from Yen Press actually. It's all just shoujo. Like that is my focus for them, and I struggle because there was just so much, y'all. We might be how we had with Kodansha, where I had 6 picks. Well, I made one of them an honorable mention, but yeah, we're having the same struggle again today. But let's go ahead and jump right in. For number 1, I'm going to say something that I read digitally. I got an early copy from Yen Press, and I was really excited, and that is With You, Our Love Will Make It Through. My friend, being Queenie, she had shared so much about this last year. I mean, she still has shared about it, but like before the official release, because it's already out, it came out in December, I think it was, or November, but she had shared how much she loved it, how excited she was that we were getting this in English, and so I decided to check it out. Also, too, it did get an anime adaptation announcement that's coming, and I was really excited. But when I was going through my list, because originally this wasn't on here, and I think it's because I made this list before December, but as soon as I saw it on there, I was like, yes, this manga needs to be mentioned. I definitely feel it's one of their strongest debuts, even if I don't have it physically, because I will mention the reason I haven't gotten it yet is mainly due to budget issues, but also because there is a little bit of Steam, and I felt a little bit unsure, so I was sort of waiting, I think as well, to see how the Steam levels were for Volume 2, and then sort of go from there. But the story itself in Volume 1 spoke so strongly to me. This is a furry romance. It's not like Sacrificial Princess, where, you know, our main man here, Leo, is mainly a beast, but he has those occasional moments where he's human. No, I don't remember their characters' names, but the main guy, is a wolf-like human, I guess you would say, and he is full furry. The creator said at the end he would stay a wolf, so there's no like human stuff happening. Anyway, I'm just putting that out there because I know some people don't like furry romance, and even though that's not something I have like a big issue with, it's just not usually something high on my radar. But when I read this series, or this volume, excuse me, it spoke again so strongly to me because I am just very passionate, and I feel overcoming prejudice and addressing racism and whatnot is extremely important to me. I am married to a dark-skinned Asian, and usually I wouldn't put it that way, but I have seen racism and prejudice against him just since we've been married, and it is really upsetting. Some of my dearest and best friends are African American, and I have seen prejudice towards them as well, and I hate it. I hate prejudice so much. And yeah, I mean, I'm so thankful and feel very blessed that for a large part of my life I have been surrounded by people who are not Caucasian. I mean, I went to a school where literally half of the student body was Caucasian and the other half was Hispanic. And when the church that I grew up in, we had a diverse, like we had people from Jamaica, we had people from Korea, we had like one person from Japan, I think. We had people from Thailand, I mean, from all over the world. And so seeing that diversity in so many areas of my life growing up, I love when we come across a story like this, With You, Our Love Will Make It Through, and seeing our female lead say, it is not okay how you're treating the male lead purely because he's different from you. And that, again, is what just pulled me into the story. Yes, I like the romance, even if there were a few times of like, this is a little bit spicier than what I'm comfortable with. It's just the those themes, y'all. Those themes are powerful, and I just love this steady, I guess, growth in our female lead where she, I want to say two for things, but she has a steady growth in wanting and sticking to her convictions, and also, I guess, maybe her feelings, because she does start to fall for him, and despite that he's different. And I love how there is a guy who becomes friends with the male lead, and he doesn't care that he's a wolf-like dude, like, whatever, like, you're cool. Like, people should not look down on you because you're different, y'all. And that is right there why this is one of the best debuts that came from Yen Press, and that I hope people check it out, despite the furry romance, because that's not specifically what I'm seated for. And if those themes I feel like were lost in much later volumes, I feel like the series wouldn't be quite as, I don't want to say as important to me, but like that is what I'm here for. I mean, I want the romance, because Sacrificial Princess, I love the romance as well, but there was still that addressing of that prejudice and whatnot. So yeah, I love this manga. I really do need to get volume 1. I think this would be just a series that I would come back to and really, really enjoy. But I just hope that it's not too spicy later on, because then my heart's not going to be able to handle it. For number 2, this was another volume that really surprised me. I'm pretty sure I've made it known that I'm not a huge fan of love triangles, but I feel like I keep coming across these manga that are making me rethink that. I mean, it's definitely not my go-to. I'm not going to dive into it purposely, I guess you would say. But for number 2, I'm saying In Another World, My Sister Stole My Name. And the reason I say all that about the love triangle is because the love triangle is love triangling in this volume. I was rereading it this morning just as like a recap to myself. It's so good. It's so good. Volume 2 comes out next month. It is one of my most anticipated releases of March. I'm very, very excited to see what happens next. There's so many different emotions in this first volume. I feel like out of probably everything I'm mentioning today, I feel like this was the one volume that surprised me the most. I really just didn't expect to love this and be obsessed with it as much as I was when I read it. And I read it and then I reread it again because it's so engaging. It's not your, I'm gonna say it's not your typical isekai, just in the sense the isekai happens really early on, where our main girl, whose name is Ichika, that in the beginning, she has been talking to this man, Cecil, or at the time they were young kids, but Cecil, she's talking to him through this mirror, and then her older sister, Karen, suddenly disappears. And then pretty suddenly as well, Ichika, our main girl, is finding herself falling through this mirror into this other world. But the thing is her sister, Ichika's sister Karen, has stolen her name, stolen her identity, and is now the fiance, or Cecil's fiance. I can't go too in depth because then it would be going into spoilers, but let's just say this is a character that plays a major role. And I feel like if Karen hadn't been an issue, if Karen had stolen our girl's identity, hands down, Ichika here would be with Cecil. They were so cute, so adorable. I mean, they were really young, but I really feel like even in this first volume, when now that they're interacting, even though Ichika's saying her name's Karen, there's some sparks. There are some sparks. I'm not gonna say tension, but it's like this really could really bloom into something special if Karen just wasn't there. But this guy here, I forget his name. He is not very nice, okay? But that is actually why I like him, because he's so different than his brother Cecil that I'm just like, please, let this little love triangle thing, whatever it is, let it be extended, because I like them both. I don't want any of their hearts to be broken. Even though I wouldn't say maybe it's like a legit love triangle, say the same way as Nina the Starry Bride, but I feel like it has those vibes. That is just so rare for me to say that I'm seated here for this. I love this, when I'm like, I don't want that kind of angst. Like, no, please don't give it to me, but I'm wanting them to give it to me, okay? And it makes me laugh for that reason. But this story is so compelling and so engaging, and also really upsetting when you see the real Karen and how she treats her sister and how like her real colors came out. Do not like you. I do not like you. I don't like what you're doing. I feel though, as much as I really love Ichika and the idea of her being with Cecil, I really do feel like I ship these two together. The volume ends on a massive cliffhanger, and I'm like, Karen, I bet you're the one that caused some problems. I have no doubts that Karen's the one that has some problems or stirred up these problems, and she thought she could come in and save the day. Girl, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. So I feel a little conflicted that I feel so excited about that, but it is a really strong first volume, and I have very high expectations expectations for volume 2. I really hope it blows me away just as much as this one did. Again, just really compelling, and I love the art, I love the story itself. I just loved everything except for, like, you know, Karen's actions. We didn't like that at all. We didn't like that, so hopefully that won't be too much of a major issue, but since it was told early in the beginning, they can't go back to their original world, there's probably going to be some more problems that come up and do happen. But I'm seeing for the romance, we'll see what happens next. For number 3, I am so excited for this one. That is If the Villainess and Villain Met and Fell in Love. That's not the full title, there is like a subtitle, but we're just gonna focus on the main one here. This first volume, I love villainous manga, though I will say right from the start, if you're looking for a villainous manga that's not actually really a villainous manga but has villainous in the title, this manga is it, because our main girl really is not a villainess. She has just been treated so poorly. She's engaged to Prince Joseph, and he has forced her, I'd say. She's the one that seems to make the decisions, but he's put some pressure on her to change who she is, to act, for example, to act dumber, to wear cuter clothes, and things that are just not part of her. And by act dumber, I mean like not studying, being the worst in the class, and him just berating her in these really sly and manipulative ways. That doesn't seem like he's really doing anything because he's just putting a suggestion out, but yet she's taking it to heart because she genuinely loves him until he dumps her. Yeah, until he dumps her. He makes her change, and then he dumps her for another girl who had all the qualities that he ultimately wanted her to have. What I loved about this volume when I was rereading it is because all of this has happened, and she runs into a meeting with this guy here who is considered the villain because he's cold and blunt, harsh, just sort of has a cold demeanor, but he's not really a villain, y'all. But anyway, yeah, she sees a thing between him, I think it was Prince Joseph's new girl, who I do not like at all either. She sees that interaction and how he just did not back down from whatever he was saying. He didn't care if Prince Joseph is the prince. He stood up for what he felt, and he was going to say what he felt, and he was like, whatever, I don't really care what you do or think to me, because there are magical spirits in this world, and when they did try to touch him, that magical spirit, which he has 2 of, one of them came out, and yeah, I don't think anybody wants to mess with a giant wolf. Just saying, and I don't blame them. But it's that moment that is so life-changing for our main girl here, because it's then she's like, you know, I don't have to change anymore or be a certain way for Prince Joseph because my engagement has been called off to him. I can change my life for myself. And I was so touched by that moment, y'all, that she tells herself, I'm gonna change for me, not for a guy, not for a girl or a parent or a servant or any of that, purely for herself. And that is why I feel that this is one of the best debuts from Yen Press. People may say, well, it's not really that groundbreaking, there may be, I don't know, typical tropes. You know, those are valid, but I will never not love seeing a female character like our main girl take action, take her life back, and be the person she has strived and always wanted to be. She starts studying so much so that this guy here, he is like one of the smartest dudes in this academy. I don't remember exactly how it takes place, but she challenges him to a competition to see who can get the higher grade. Mind you, at this point, she has been slacking on her grades and has been at the bottom of her class, but she takes that so seriously because she wants to get some kind of mastery in spiritology, but like where you study about spirits. She's very passionate about that, but she pushed that down because of her dumb ex, okay? When she meets him, the rivalry here is everything, especially with that romance, y'all. It's really, really good. I guess it'd be like a rivals to lovers, but yeah, they have this competition, and y'all, she brings herself up to, we'll say, like the top 5 of the class, but somebody was out to get her, and I said, oh. I will say I do know things because I have read volume 2, so I'm just gonna like purely base my thoughts on volume 1, but I really love that about this story. And again, I just feel like why it's so good, because I'm behind our female lead 100%, really here also for the romance, but Prince Joseph I hate how he's using everybody around him to do his dirty work. Oh, I was rereading actually my review on Goodreads, and I put in cap, I hate this man so much, and I said, yes, past self, I'm with you right in the present, that it is just, so irksome because he knows what he's doing. He knows that he is manipulating even his new girl to get back at his ex-fiance. And it's like, well, if you don't want her, why? Just why? Just why? So this is a really strong debut, and I can't say that the sequel was just as strong, just as good, had more romance, fantastic. So this wasn't like a one-hit wonder kind of thing for the series. I really feel like it's just going to keep getting better and better. I want nothing but the best for our female lead, and I hate how these people are coming against her, but I'm glad she's got at least, they seem like a servant, a maid, that is in her corner. And when she asks her, because our female lead has been holding on to the clothes that Prince Joseph wanted her to wear because she looked cuter, but she didn't like them. She didn't like them at all, but she has held on to them all this time. Finally, she asked her maid or her servant, and it was like, can you please get rid of these? That maid, yes, she's like, oh, I will burn them all to the very single thread so there's nothing left. I said, yes, we love to see it. We love to see it. So I'm glad that she has people like that young woman in her life who are there and supporting her, following her real dreams. That is what I want, and that's why I love this volume so much. For number 4, I'm so excited about this one, even though I'm sort of like embarrassed because I have volume 2 still on my TBR, and I said I would read it last weekend, but I didn't read it last weekend. But that is Tengu's Love volume 1. I was surprised how much I love this volume. I came in knowing that it has yokai vibes, and yokai is sort of a hit or miss with me personally. I mean, it's not over here, but I do have Kakario somewhere on my shelf, and I love that one. I did a review, you guys voted for it, and it was amazing. So very good. But yeah, I went into thinking also that he was a delinquent. He's not a delinquent, but he sort of has this vibe. I mean, who wears these kind of jackets and they're not a delinquent? Apparently this dude. But anyway, I digress there. But the yogai vibes were so fun. It's about this young man here. He decides to come back to sort of where he grew up, and he doesn't have a lot of friends. He's very quiet, but somehow this yogai here girl, this Tengu, she knows who he is. She remembers, and he keeps bumping into her, so much so that according to the custom, because they've met I think 3 times, and she's like, oh, we're gonna get married, you're gonna be my husband. And he's like, what? He's like, no, I ain't ready for this. Well, she decides to come live with them, and it's their shenanigans living at home, and there's so many wonderful, funny moments, and very heartfelt too, of seeing the shenanigans, because she has not experienced the outer world. She's lived in her village, and so like she's experiencing ramen for the first time. What was some of the other ones? There were a few other things. I literally just did skim the volume this morning, but she's experiencing these new things, and I really, really love seeing it, especially when he's like sort of grumpy. He's not mean, but he does have these little grumpy tendencies, and I think it's just because she's like the opposite of him and so upbeat and bright and a lot of fun, while he's just more down to earth, more quiet, more to himself. But she is exactly what he needs in his life, because you see these moments where he really does feel lonely and I think isolated. They don't happen often, but when you see them, especially when they're eating certain meals, it really tugs at your heartstrings. And one of the things that put the, I don't want to say nail in the coffin, but like one of the things that was a done deal, I guess you would say, is I love seeing a man not being afraid to apologize when he's in the wrong. I said, yes, I was seeing it for the whole thing. I reread this twice because I enjoyed it so much. When he acts really mean towards our girl, Grant, I want to say it was justifiable. As a reader, we are seeing his fears, his worries of what happened and why he's being so harsh to her. That I get it, but it didn't mean I was happy about it. But when he apologizes for the things he said, for the things he did, y'all, I was seated. It was a done deal. I loved it so much. I love it so much. It was a beautiful and strong way to end this volume, and I'm bummed that I still haven't read volume 2. This week I'm reading volume 1s for my upcoming first impression video this Friday, so I still can't technically read it yet after filming this video, but I definitely need to, hopefully this weekend, that I for sure can. But this is a really fun first volume that I would highly recommend, especially if you love some yokai shenanigans and you love seeing this young man who has been internalizing a lot of his feelings and starting to be able to think and reflect on those things and be happier, because she's not our girl here. She's not overly pushy in a way where it's like, I don't know about this. This isn't sitting right. At least I personally did not feel that way, because she does make it known that she's not going to tell him anything until he remembers characters when and how they met and what he said. And so I do love that overarching little plot point to see, is he finally going to remember? Because I want him to remember the thing. I don't want to say what it is because I don't remember if it actually says like in the blurb of what it is. But yeah, this is a very fun fantasy vibes, yokai kind of story. I really, really enjoyed it and I look forward to reading volume 2. All right, we are to number 5. We're to number 5 and I still don't know. I still don't know. Can I just say 2? Because I don't even know what would be the honorable mention at this point. I mean, I want to say this one because everything thus far, I think with you, I love to make it through. I give it like 4.5 stars, but everything else I've given 5 stars. So maybe we'll do what we did last time, like we did in the Shoujo Manga. I'm just gonna hold them both up and we'll just ramble about it, and then we'll see if maybe I have like a set this number 5. So the ones that I was struggling between is Pink and Habanero Volume 1 and Aria of the Beach Forest. So I love both of these. I sort of feel like this one should be number 5 because I did mention that while I love this volume a lot, it was super funny, that I did have some reservations about our guy and just how mean he was in the beginning. That I'm like, the younger sister really saved it, but I was rereading it this morning and I really, really enjoyed it. It's super funny. But I think I'm gonna go number 5 with Aria because this is like if you love Ghibli, chill vibes, and just slice of life, like this series is it. Granted, it's not complete yet, but it is going to be complete at 3 volumes. I don't remember when volume 3 comes out, but I feel like it should be out in the next few months. Hopefully not next month. I don't think it's in March, but because if it is, I forgot to pre-order it. But when I was reading this, it was just so comforting and so down to earth and so chill, and there's so much food. I guess, in a way, you could consider it a foodie manga because there is a bunch of food in every chapter. And I think too, there's like mini little recipes breaking down like how she made things. And so it's about this young woman who is a witch who lives in the forest alone until she comes across this white wolf here and is able to talk. It's their life as they live together and her just feeling like she really doesn't need anybody except for Gwen, this white wolf. But her magic barrier she has, something happened. Interestingly enough, she meets humans, but she's never communicated with like actual humans that didn't have, say, magical abilities, or they were able to shift, because we do meet one certain person who I love. They were so great. And she is just at a loss because she's never had friends before. But yet this white wolf is encouraging her to make friends with these humans. Granted, it was sort of too like, you need to make friends with them so they don't tell your secret that you're a witch, because, people could think that's a bad thing due to some like history and backstory that we found out about in the past. And she's like, make friends? Like, she sort of becomes like a robot in a way. She's so sweet. I really loved her. And so seeing her slowly grow, slowly open herself up was so beautiful and so satisfying. It was a very sweet and surprising read for me as well, that I really just didn't expect for it to have, like I said at the beginning of when I was talking about this, those Ghibli vibes. Like, it's got it all. It doesn't have romance though, and I'm okay with that. I really love how, as I go into volume 2, but I will say volume 2 was really good as well, and I hope everything's gonna be okay in volume 3. I don't remember if this one ended on a huge cliffhanger. No, it didn't end on a huge one, but it's really about, I feel like, our main girl expanding her horizons a little bit, at least when it comes to volume 1, and making friends. It's a very sweet and special kind of story, and I would definitely highly recommend it if you're looking for anything I just shared, because it was so wonderful, and I couldn't help but smile as I was flipping through it and rereading it. And I guess for the honorable mention, I couldn't help but laugh as I was flipping through this one. I recently just read volume 2. I can't say that my reservations about our male lead were definitely addressed in volume 2, and I am locked in with this series for sure. But what was her name? Mugi? I think that's how you say her name. I loved her. Her expressions are so funny, but the way that she stands up for her best friend, because her best friend is super beautiful, all the guys want to talk to her, and honestly, right now, she just really wants to get a boyfriend. I mean, but she doesn't want to just settle for anybody. Like, she wants a really good guy, but she feels like all of them are just you know, when they talk to her, they want to talk to her just to get closer to her best friend. And she's like, well, I'm not going to hook you up with her. She's already got a boyfriend. She doesn't like that. Like, no. I'm not going to do that. And so thankfully, our main guy here, though, he does actually see that. And hopefully it's a moment for him where he starts developing feelings. But it's interesting because when you first meet him, he's really blunt. Like blunt where I'm like, you didn't have to be quite that mean. You didn't have to be quite that rude. I would say rude more than mean personally for me. He works at some kind of cafe and he is a knight at this cafe. He looks like this. He looks so happy and smiling. Well, he's sort of smiling here. But typically, no. He looks more like this where he's unhappy and he really just doesn't want to deal with anybody. But, you know, of course, things are going to unfold where they start getting to know each other because she sort of finds out like his secret. Well, she does find out his secret, but she finds out other things later and it causes some things to happen. And she's really paranoid about because somebody is like proclaiming they know the secret and it's a hot mess, but it's a good hot mess. It's a good hot mess. But I just found this first volume to be a lot of fun. I think I originally was going to give it 4 stars, but I bumped it up to 5 because of how much I laughed and really enjoyed myself. So if you need a funny manga, this is definitely what I'd recommend. And obviously I'd recommend all of these because I deeply love them and enjoyed them. Hopefully I talked about all of them well. My medicine should already be kicked in. I can like do more focus because before medicine I was not able to. But yeah, I would love to hear from you friends. What have been some of your favorite reads from Yen Press that they've published, whether that was this year or last year? Or, you know, whenever, let me know down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!